We got some breaking news coming in with our panel right now. We have just heard that in Maine, the Secretary of State has now disqualified former President Trump from the ballot there.
In the case of Maine, it was right in the law. I mean, she has the power as the Secretary of State, and she looked at the law and said that without a doubt, an insurrection took place in this country on January 6, 2021. There was violence at the Capitol, and she saw Donald Trump as having a key role in that insurrection, therefore said that he can't run on the Maine ballot.
What's happening in this situation is that you have unelected justices on the Colorado Supreme Court, all appointed by Democrats, and a Democrat Secretary of State in Maine unilaterally deciding to claim that a protest is somehow related to the former president and barring that person. That is not how our country operates in caring about due process, which is a constitutional protection.
We are a nation of laws that apply to all of us. To all of us. The problem for Trump and the Republicans is they can't get away from the stink of January 6th and Donald Trump's lies about January 6th. In fact, Trump is not even saying that he's not guilty. He's saying, you can't ask me about it because I was president. That's what he's saying. So the problem for Republicans is they say, oh, this is a matter of politics. This is like, some third world country. You're pushing your political opponents off the ballot. But in reality, I can't think of another country where a political leader would try to overthrow the government and then come back and say, I'm running for president. So I think most of them would say, put that guy in jail.
Juan Williams is right, and Mollie Hemingway is wrong. In a moment, you will see a clip that won't surprise you, but will probably shock you in that non-surprise malaise way we feel often in the politics in our country these days, and the way everything generally seems to be kind of vibing out in our political world. But let me elaborate a little bit more as to why Juan is right. I mean, it's the reason he said, but to clarify, to repeat, to drive home the point, since points seem to need to be driven home quite a bit these days, the Constitution doesn't say you have to be convicted of insurrection. It just says that you have to have participated in one. Donald Trump did a lot more than participate in one. He basically organized it. He encouraged it. He rallied up the troops. And the clip that is often forgotten, that is not given enough airtime even in the Jan 6 committee hearings, and I pray it's an integral part of the court case he is soon going to be sitting through, where they will determine whether he is guilty of trying to undermine the voting rights of this entire country and overthrow the election, free and fair election it's supposed to be, in the peaceful transfer of power supposed to be, is during a press conference when asked if he would commit to a peaceful transfer of power, and he said this.
Win, lose, or draw in this election, will you commit here today for a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
We're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation.
Right there is when he rallied the troops. Right there is when he said, we'll see, no guarantees. We might go violent. If I don't win, we might go violent. If I win, there's no problem. Then there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. Spoken exactly like a dictator, like a thug. Spoken exactly like somebody who is an autocrat, desperately clinging to power because he knows he no longer has the support of the people. That is what Donald Trump is. That's who he always has been. That's what he represents. And that's what the enormous amount of people in this country still support for some very disappointing reason. I mean, he's facing so many criminal charges. Can't you just find another person? Can't you find another candidate to run? What is he going to be, president from jail? Roll the clip of what Fox News would now even be okay with.
I still think it's his to lose, and I think that by the time we get through the first three and we get to Super Tuesday, it's going to be Donald Trump likely left standing.
All right, so what happens if he's indicted at some point?
He can be president from jail if he has to.
What, is he going to be president from jail? Okay. I've never seen people more on somebody else's. There's no PC way to say it. It's not that into you. He's in it for himself. Choose a candidate that might actually, at some instance, put the country over his own self-interest. His or hers. Please, anybody. Anybody save us. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. Check out my Instagram, @Ben Gleib, for lots more.